welcome back. So today we are going to be talking about perpendicular lines. But before we can start on perpendicular lines, we first need to revise the previous topic, which is on angles. So based on what we've learned so far, we've talked about three different types of angles. Do you remember what the three types of angles are? Okay, so first, let's look at the one in the middle. The one in the middle is called a right angle. So how do we know what a right angle is? So a right angle is the kind of angle that we can get from, let's say, when we use our ruler. So if I use my ruler and I put it here, I can see that both lines lie on the sides of my ruler. So this forms a right angle. And let's say I want to use my set square. So this is a set square. If I use my set square, I can see that both lines lie at the sides of my set square. And let's say I don't have a ruler or a set square. I can just take any piece of paper. Okay, it doesn't have to be any particular shape. But let's say this is my piece of paper. If I fold it into half, and I fold it into half again, okay, this forms a rectangle, and the side of a rectangle has a right angle. So if I put it here, I can see that the lines are at the sides of my rectangle. So it doesn't matter, I can put this in the other direction as well. So even if I put it this way, both lines should still be at the sides of my rectangle. So there are three different ways to check that an angle is a right angle: using a paper that I fold into half twice, a set square, or a ruler. So for a right angle, remember that we indicate it using this symbol. So this is what we use for a right angle. Now, do you remember what the angle that is smaller than a right angle is called? Okay, the smaller one is called an acute angle. So an acute angle is smaller than a right angle. And how do I check that the angle is smaller than a right angle? So if I use my ruler or my set square, so like now I'm holding my set square and I put it along one of the lines, I can see that the other line doesn't lie along the side of my set square. In fact, it is smaller. The amount of turning is smaller than a right angle. So I can do this the same with the other side. So if I use this line to check, I can also see that this line is not on the side of my set square. So this angle is actually smaller than my right angle. This is called an acute angle. And for an acute angle, I will indicate it like this. What about this one? So if this is not an acute angle and it's not a right angle, and if I use my set square to check, I can see that the line is not on the side of my set square. It's actually further away from this line, which means that the amount of turning is more. It is larger than a right angle. Do you remember what this angle is called? So this angle is called an obtuse angle. So an obtuse angle is larger than a right angle. Okay, so now that we've remembered all of this, we can go back to the concept of perpendicular lines. So let's say, okay, let me have a fresh sheet of paper. Okay, perpendicular lines are two lines that meet at a right angle. So if you remember a right angle, so a right angle is the same as the angle that is on the side of my set square. It's also the same as the angle at the sides of my ruler or my rectangular paper. Okay, so a set of perpendicular lines will meet at a right angle. So let's say I just draw a straight line, okay? So remember, if lines form perpendicular lines, they have to be straight lines. Okay, so let's say I have one line that looks like this. Okay, so how do I draw a line that is perpendicular to this line? So I will use my set square. So you might have two different types of set squares. You have this one or this one. Both can be used for this drawing. So it doesn't matter which one you use, you just need to use one. Okay, so let's say I want to use this one. And I want a line that's perpendicular to this line. So I will put my set square along this line such that one of the sides that forms a right angle on my set square, okay, so if I have a set square like this, I know that this side and this side will form a right angle here. So I will take one of these sides and I will put it here. Alternatively, I can also do the other side, so it doesn't matter. So I'm going to do this side. And I must make sure that my line is along the side. Then the other line would form a line that is perpendicular. Okay, and how do I check if these lines are perpendicular? I can check because the lines will form a right angle. Okay, so let's say I want to use my set square to check. So I will check. Okay, both lines are on the sides of my set square. Let's check this side now. Okay, both sides are along the sides of my set square. Okay, please note that for this demonstration, I'm using a marker to draw, but when you are drawing, please use a pencil so that if there are any mistakes, you can easily erase it and you don't have to redraw the line, the whole line again. Okay, so I can also use my ruler to check. So as you can see, the two lines lie along the sides of the ruler. Okay, so I can confirm that this is a perpendicular line because it forms right angles. So if this line is AB and this line is CD, how do I write that they are perpendicular? I will say AB and I'll draw this symbol, which means perpendicular, and CD. So when I name a line, I always name the endpoints. So for this line, even though D is on the line, I will name the endpoints of the line, which is AB. And for this line, it will be CD. And this symbol means perpendicular. Okay, let's try another line. Okay, so let's say I will use my ruler to just draw any straight line. So let's say I want to draw a straight line here. Okay, and now I want to draw another line that is perpendicular to this line. Same thing, I will get my set square and I will check my set square. Which are the two sides that form a right angle? It will be this side and this side. So what I do in my set square, I place one of these two sides along the line here. So I can either do it like that or like that. So it doesn't matter, either side is fine. I can even do it like that. So this is also fine. This is also fine. It doesn't matter. Okay, so for now, I want to do it like that. And because this line is along this side of the set square, it means that if I draw a line on the other side, it will form a right angle, which means that the two lines are perpendicular. So if I draw a line here, they should be perpendicular. Okay, so now I'm going to check using my set square. So if I check here, okay, the two lines are along the sides of my set square. So I know it forms a right angle and the two lines are perpendicular. If I check this side, I should get the same result. And if I don't have a set square, which you should if you are drawing perpendicular lines, I can also use a ruler to check. So let's say I put my ruler like that. Or I can also put my ruler this way. They should all give me the same result. Okay, which means these two lines are perpendicular. So let's say this line is MN and this line is OP. So if I want to write that these two lines are perpendicular, I can write MN is perpendicular to OP. So if you realize just now, if we look at this one, we said CD, right? But here, does that mean that I have to write PO? So actually, it doesn't matter. As long as I write the letters that are at the two end points. So this one, I can write MN, or I can also write NM for this part. Both answers are accepted. And for this side, I can write OP or PO. It doesn't matter, both answers are accepted. Okay, if you feel that you need some more practice for this, do take an extra piece of paper and you can just use a ruler to draw a line and then try to use your set square to draw a line that's perpendicular to that line. Now, what happens if I am given a line? So for example, okay, let's say I'm given this line and I'm given a point here. So what if the question says that I need to draw a line that's perpendicular to this line and passes through the point? What should I do? So no worries, it is the same steps. I will still take my set square. So I can either put it this way or the other way, right? So as long as I'm using the two sides of the set square that form a right angle. So let's say I want to do it like that. So I will still make sure that this side of my set square is along the line. But if you see, if I draw this line here, it doesn't pass through the point. So I need to move my set square a bit more. Okay, such that this line is along this side of the set square, but if I draw the line at the other side, it will pass through the point. So it will look something like this. Okay, and if I want to check that this is perpendicular, I'll use my set square. Okay, the two lines lie along the sides of my set square. And on this side, the two lines lie along the sides of my set square, and this line passes through the point. Okay, and let's go through one more example. Okay, let's say I have a straight line like this, and my point is down here. So what do? Same thing, I will take my set square and I will try to draw a perpendicular line. So I'll check these two sides are the ones that form right angles. So I will take one side, put it along the line, and make sure the other side passes through the dot. So if I put it like that, will it work? No, right? Because if I draw a line here, it doesn't pass through the dot. So I have to make sure it passes through the dot. Okay, and then I will draw my line. Okay, sorry there's a smudge here because I'm using a marker. So remember, when you draw, you have to use a pencil. Please do not draw in pen. Okay, now I want to check, are these two lines perpendicular? So I'll use my set square and I'll check. Okay, the two lines lie along the sides of my set square. And if I check this side, Okay, they lie along the sides of my set square. So I know that these two lines are perpendicular. So if you feel that you are struggling with either these types of questions, which requires you to just draw a line perpendicular anywhere and then write down the symbol, or if you struggle with this kind of question which requires you to draw a line and a dot, and then you have to draw a line that's perpendicular to that line that passes through the dot, okay, you can always do more practice. So you can just find any paper at home, use a ruler to draw a line like what I did just now, and then you can practice. Just use your set square to draw lines that are perpendicular. And then after you draw it, you can use your set square to check as well to make sure that the lines are perpendicular. If it is not perpendicular, you can always erase it and try again. Okay?